Hi everyone, this is Kim C, and you are listening to the Year of Underrated Stephen King. This is a one-woman book podcast. I am a university fiction teacher doing my very best to give the underexplored, underrated Stephen King titles the literary treatment. Happy holidays, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well and having a nice, relaxing time post-winter solstice, post-Christmas. I am recording during my favorite week of the year, the post-Christmas come down, leading up to my all-time favorite holiday of them all, New Year's Eve. I am the hugest fan. Yes, I love Christmas. I'm absolutely obsessed. I put up 2 trees this year. My home looks like a Dr. Seuss glitter bomb went off. That's pretty much my style. Whimsy and childlike sparkle everywhere. So yes, I'm a huge Christmas fan, but nothing can compare to my love of New Year's Eve, everyone. I love getting dressed up. I love getting sparkly. Champagne is my favorite drink of them all. It just is. And I really could do some damage and stay classy on New Year's Eve. I've been training for a while now. I love everything about it. I love that it's a global holiday, that everyone around the world can share that with one another and send those genuine well wishes for a happy new year, no matter what culture you're associated with, no matter what language you speak. And as an educator, that is so meaningful. And most of all, it is a very introspective, reflective time where you get to spend some time with yourself in your heart and think about everything you've gone through this year, the good, the bad, the ugly, and put a little bit of hope out there for what's to come. So this is why the best of Underrated King episodes are my absolute favorite of the entire year. It is just a summation of all the things I love: reflection, introspection, celebration, all the things, everyone. So I'm thrilled to share this time with all of you, and I hope that you all had as magical a year reading King as I did. This was so great, everyone. I know we didn't read as many King titles as we have in years past, because some years, due to global circumstances, I had a little bit more free time to pound through these King titles. But this year, I really feel we packed in some quality titles. So I'm really excited to return to what we've achieved thus far on the podcast and hand out some awards. So for those of you who have not heard our Best of Underrated King episodes, you can jump back to 2020 and 2021. As I mentioned previously, this is our recap episode of the year. I have 10 categories, and we're going to hand out some awards for some of the King titles we read this year. But before we start handing out our awards celebrating the Best of Underrated King 2022, let's look back at everything we achieved this year. We have read 8 Stephen King titles. I will go over those in just a second. And I think I could have definitely tackled more if I wasn't so busy making so many friends this year, guys. I had the absolute privilege to put forth 7 constant reader interviews. It was amazing. I chatted with horror author Jamie Stewart, both the hosts of King Size Podcast in the UK. I chatted with Simon and Matt Robinson. So amazing. Also, my Stephen King bestie, Matt Hurt from Tower Junkies, as well as Tiny from Tower Junkies. I celebrated my 100th episode talking to Stephen King Queen and Goddess Julia Marquesi. And then, early Christmas present, Stephen King genius and YouTube star David McCracken of the Stephen Kingdom. Oh my gosh, guys, what a rich time I had chatting it up and making some friends. So that was a large part of our year that I'm really proud of. In addition to our constant reader interviews, I only was able to watch 2 2022 Stephen King television releases. I'm unsure if there were more, but I did take a gander at 2022's Firestarter, the remake starring Zac Efron, and the most recently released Netflix's Mr. Harrigan's Phone, so that was some King viewing I did. I didn't really observe anything else that I remember. I also need to get a little bit better at writing things down throughout the year so I don't forget. But the King titles we achieved, everyone, are the following. We kicked off 2022 with 1985 Skeleton Crew. There were 22 stories in that compilation, and I kicked it off with The Mist, followed by 11 and 10, I think, parts 1 and 2. After that, in no particular order, we took a look at 2018's Elevation, the little novel that could. A lot of power and whimsy in that one. I really enjoyed it. Next, we tackled 2002's From a Buick 8, which really greased the path for my next King Car novel later on in the year, which would be 1983's Christine. We also spent a serious chunk of time absorbing, sorting through the trauma, and absolutely relishing 1997's fourth Dark Tower installment, Wizard and Glass. We also took a gander at Billy Summers, 2021's absolute masterpiece, my guys. Oh my goodness. Yes. Spent some time there, as well as with 2007's Blaze and the small but delightful 2022 short story called Finn. So 8 King titles all together. I know it's a little light, but still good. We had some really quality reads and spent a decent amount of time unpacking them, which is what I'm striving for. So once more, 2022 encompassed 1985 Skeleton Crew, Elevation, From a Buick 8, Wizard and Glass, Billy Summers, Christine, Blaze, and the short story Finn. So if you're interested in diving in more with any of those titles, head back into 2022 with me and check out these episodes. Before we start handing out the awards and I start listing the categories and nominees, I wanted to get everybody excited for my plans for 2023. These are the King titles I am really certain I am going to hit. I only have really 1 or 2 to 3 on deck for the first few months of 2023. Of course, changes could happen. I am known to change my mind last minute. However, these are the titles I am determined in all caps to make sure we get plugged in for 2023. They are the following: 4 Past Midnight, Wind Through the Keyhole. We're doing it. I'm going rogue, guys. I'm going Dark Tower rogue, and I'm doing it. I also want to take a look at Eyes of the Dragon, followed by Fairy Tale. I really want to make sure I read those 2 back to back. I can't wait anymore. I need to read Fairy Tale, but I really want to take a look at Eyes of the Dragon before I do so. I think that will be majorly fun. I am also super thrilled. I must read Dreamcatcher next year. It just has to happen. I am also going to read Cujo, Thinner, Needful Things, Dolores Claiborne, Gerald's Game, Wolves of the Kala, and hopefully, maybe, we can squeeze in Desperation and the Regulators. That is on the menu for 2023, folks. I hope you are excited. If you haven't yet said hi on the show, you can always go to UnderratedSK@gmail and write me and let me know if I need to do any initial prep on any of the following titles for 2023. But that is what is on deck, so I'm really looking forward to diving in. I'm pretty much set on the first few months of 2023, and we'll talk about that in a little while. All right, folks, before we head into the next section, let us now list off our 10 categories. I did follow suit to 2021's list. I felt it was a good one. So we're going to hand out awards for the following. Number 1, Best Hero. Number 2, Best Leading Lady. Number 3, Best/Worst Villain. Number 4, Best Sidekick. Number 5, the character or story that left me wanting more. Number 6, Best Fight Scene. Number 7, Best Romance. Number 8, Best Stephen King TV. Number 9, Best Stephen King Short Story. And number 10, Best Stephen King Novel. Those are our 10 categories, everyone. So let's start the show, and in the next section, I will announce the nominees and winners for the 10 awards for the Best of Underrated King 2022. I'll see you there. Alright, loves, before we head into Year of the Rabbit, let's give some awards for the 10 categories wrapping up the Best of Underrated King 2022. For Best Hero, I have 5 nominees and 2 honorable mentions, as I do. Some categories will have honorable mentions, which still allows them to be a contender for the award. I always try to narrow it down to 5, if not 4 if I can, but sometimes we just have too many good ones to overlook. So for Best Hero, the nominees are as follows. Number 1, Billy Summers. Oh my goodness. Everyone, if you haven't read Billy Summers, please do it now and jump back to my episode on Billy Summers because it's a gush fest. It just truly is. Number 2 for Best Hero, Cuthbert and Alen from Wizard and Glass. They are Roland's friends. Forgive me, everyone. I was a total bozo during my Wizard and Glass coverage, and I said Cuthbert because I was emotionally wrecked and not thinking clearly, not reading my notes consciously. It is Cuthbert. To my everlasting shame, forgive me for the mispronunciation. Cuthbert and Alen from Wizard and Glass. Number 3. For Best Hero, David Drayton from The Mist. If you guys remember, he is our main protagonist. He is our father figure who heads into the grocery store with his son. All hell breaks loose. Definitely a hero in my book. Number 4, we have Curtis Wilcox from a Buick 8. Curtis is a member of Troop D. He was one of the most passionate deputies they had, really became a scientist to uncover the mysteries of the 1954 Buick Roadmaster. I really liked his character a lot. Definitely a hero. Number 5, we have Liberty High School teenager Dennis Gilder from Christine. Definitely heroic toward the end, he was. And now for my 2 honorable mentions. For Best Hero, I have Clayton Blaisdell from Blaze. Yes, he's not exactly heroic because he's a little bit of an anti-hero for sure, but based on what Blaze survives and endures without becoming an absolute murdering psychopath, I think there's some good stuff there that puts him in the hero category. He definitely chooses good when he could have chose wrong, and I honor him for that a little bit. Honorable mention, Clayton Blaisdell. Then we have, because I love him, because I'm really, really smitten, honorable mention, Roland Deschain. Roland Deschain was, of course, last year's Best Hero. He could win again, unknown, but I had to give Roland an honorable mention because it's Roland. It's Roland, guys. Like, he's just... Even though, as you guys know from my 3-part Wizard of Glass coverage, I had a lot of thoughts about Roland this time, and some of them weren't so pleasant, but I still will give him a heroic honorable mention. Our next category is Best Leading Lady. We have 5 nominees. Our first nominee is, of course, the oh-so-lovely Susan Delgado from Wizard and Glass. Next, we have Libertyville High School student Lee Cabot. Not too bad. Definitely a leading lady. Number 3, we have Alice Maxwell in Billy Summers. She is only 21, but definitely mighty, resilient, and full of grace. Number 4, heading into the short story territory, Ophelia Todd from Mrs. Todd's Shortcut. This lady is absolutely legendary. If you have read that short story from Skeleton Crew, it really made a huge impact on me this year. Check her out, Miss Ophelia Todd. And number 5, my 5th nominee for Best Leading Lady, is from another short story within Skeleton Crew, Stella Flanders from The Reach. She is in her 80s, a lifelong resident of Goat Island, but made a huge impact on me this year. Our third category is Best/Worst Villain. We've got some good ones, guys. Oh my gosh, this year for villains, holy crap. So this first one is a little unique. Let me explain. Of course, I have to put her at the top of the list, and that is the infamous 1958 Plymouth Fury named Christine. Of course, but like I discovered in the novel, Christine does not stand alone as she does in the 1983 John Carpenter film. She is connected to Roland D. LeBay. LeBay is Christine, Christine is LeBay. So I put 2 in one category. Our first nominee is Roland and Christine, because they just go together. They're a sandwich of doom and evil. So I'm really excited for the new Christine film that is said to be released next year or maybe 2024. But I'm really hoping we get a stronger connection to LeBay because it's definitely necessary. So that is our first nominee, Roland and Christine. Number 2, we're headed back to Magus. We are slinking in the shadows like a snake to see Rhea of the Coos. Oh! She is the unkillable witchy woo at the heart of Wizard and Glass. She is a very powerful villain who you really can't kill her, and that's the mark of a good villain for me, most definitely. She is icky, she is really the definition of a gross old witch, but don't underestimate her, that's for dang sure. Rhea of the Coos. Number 3, I nominate the Coffin Hunters. These are the 3 villains inside Wizard and Glass that are trying to take out Roland, Cuthbert, and Alen. These guys are Bad News Bears. The unforgettable Eldred Jonas, Roy DePape, and Clay Reynolds. The Coffin Hunters, they are a bunch of cutthroat murderers terrorizing the town, causing trouble at every turn. Definite marks of great villains. Number 4, for Best/Worst Villain, I have crime boss Nick Majerian from Billy Summers. This guy is another one you don't want to underestimate. Very powerful, very cunning, lots of connections, definitely worth exploring. Our last villain nominee is, of course, someone who's really rising in my ranks as my favorite Stephen King villain. That is Randall Flagg, aka the Man in Black. It is official, everybody. As of finishing Wizard and Glass, I realized the Man in Black, aka Walter, is none other than Mr. Randall Flagg. So Flagg is, of course, infamously an incarnation of the New Testament demon mentioned in the book of Luke, Legion. King has explored that in greater detail within 1978's The Stand, but throughout his work, Flagg definitely seems to be, as Legion says, for we are many, many, many faces of evil and unkillable cunning genius. So, of course, Flagg's got to be on the list. I do have one honorable mention. This one's a little iffy, but I did want to throw it in there. In From a Buick 8, at the heart of the story, we have the very mysterious, incredibly strange, and yet powerful 1954 Buick Roadmaster. This thing is a portal to another world. It brings forth a lot of creepy critters. Is it a villain? Not really, but it also doesn't really help with making life better for Troop D in the rural Pennsylvania outposts. It really causes a lot of problems. And King does hint that the car may in fact be the cause of some very sinister things that happen. In my episode, I kind of had a little bit of an issue with this, as you'll hear, but I still would like to give it an honorable mention. When I think about the 1954 blue Buick Roadmaster, I don't necessarily have it as neutral in my mind, so we're definitely giving it an honorable mention for a villain. Okay, friends, moving on to category 4, Best Sidekick. Oh, we had some gems this year, guys. Number 1, we have George Rackley from Blaze. Now, I struggled with this one a little bit because George Rackley is not a good guy. I was this close to putting him in the villain category, but he is not alive in the novel Blaze, not physically alive. He only exists in Blaze's mind and in his memory. Because of his presence in the story, Blaze is able to survive a little longer and a little better if George wasn't there. So I'm definitely giving George a nomination for Best Sidekick. My second nominee is Bucky Hansen from Billy Summers. This guy is definitely the person you want to keep in your back pocket if you're in a jam. He is in the criminal underworld with Billy. He knows what this life and business is all about. He is the perfect person and a really great character in that novel. Number 3, my sweet friends from Gilead make another appearance. Best sidekicks, Cuthbert and Elen. Cuthbert, of course, really shines bright in the later half of Wizard and Glass. He's the one that's definitely speaking out and trying to knock some sense into Roland, even though it's not easily accomplished. Really good sidekicks. Good boys to have in your corner. Good friends all around. Number 4, my fourth nominee is, of course, another character from Wizard and Glass who is just a super precious lamb and very helpful in a jam, Shimi Ruiz. So sweet. Really love him. Lastly, my final nominee for Best Sidekick is Troop D. This is a gang of about 18 to 20 Pennsylvania cops who really have each other's back. We have alternating characters within the From a Buick 8 novel, and one thing that is incredibly apparent is how all of them really live for each other. We all see this with the character of Ned Wilcox, who is the young son of deceased Curtis Wilcox. Ned is really lost and just spending tons of time at the Troop D headquarters because he's so sad and so heartbroken and grieving, and so all of Troop D sort of gather around Ned to tell them about his father, tell them about the mystery of the Buick, so great sidekicks all around. Our fifth category is the character or story who left me wanting more. So our first nominee is Scott Carey from Elevation. That is, of course, a very short little book. It is sweet, it is odd, but it definitely packs a lot of meaning, especially if you're in a vulnerable spot as a reader. I really, really like Scott Carey, but dang, I needed more. Number 2, we have Finn. Forgive me, I don't have his last name. I know I have my PDF floating around somewhere, but Finn from the 2022 short story that was released this year. I totally jumped on it because I just got back from Ireland and this takes place in Ireland. This is a short, action-packed little suspense ride. Definitely wanted more from that character. Another character who left me salivating is, of course, Arnie Cunningham. Arnie is at the heart of the Christine novel. His story is, whoa, it is intense, it is sad, it is frightening, but the way it goes out for Arnie, I definitely wished a different spotlight would have been given to him, 100%. So Arnie Cunningham left me wanting more. My final nominee for the character or story who left me wanting more is, of course, the entire novel From a Buick 8. I love that novel so much. Really sophisticated, very curious, lots of philosophy in there. But toward the end, I felt King was giving us some underbaked bread in certain spots, so I was really wanting more. I understand the entire delivery of the novel, the entire package is supposed to be about the unknown and accepting what we don't understand, what we don't have power over to influence. I got that. I got it. Still, it doesn't mean I'm thrilled about it. I still wanted more. So it's a final nominee for me in the category of the character/story who left me wanting more. On to number 6, best fight scene or action sequence. Let's do it, guys. Number 1, we have a pretty epic coffin hunter shootout within Wizard and Glass. We actually have a lot of those. It's kind of great. King really does channel the late 60s, early 70s Clint Eastwood westerns of the good, the bad, the ugly for a few dollars more, a fistful of dollars. I think that trilogy was hugely influential on King, so we've got some pretty epic shootouts. And the one concerning the coffin hunters is particularly memorable. I was a fan. My second nominee for best fight scene or action sequence is, of course, at the end of Christine, where we are in Darnell's garage. We've got Dennis Gilder, Lee Cabot, and Christine in an ultimate explosive showdown. And whoa, we got literal dead bodies flying through the air, folks. Like, this one is intense. It is hugely dramatic. It was really good. Number 3, Billy Summers, the shootout at Nick Majarian's hideout. That was intense. High body count there. Really liked it. Number 4, we have a pretty decent shootout at the end of Blaze. It is in the Maine woods. There's snow. Blaze is on the run. Little baby Joe Girard is hidden underground. It was really suspenseful. It was pretty good, guys. I liked it. And then this one's a little wild. My 5th nominee, just go with it. I did not like this short story from Skeleton Crew, guys. I had a lot to say about it in my part 1 coverage, but the short story, The Raft. If you guys remember that one, the 4 teens sort of swim out to the raft in the middle of the lake, and there is some alien black goo thing picking them off one by one and killing them. I kind of like that part. The horror and the suspense of this mysterious black slime that could come through the boards and suck you under, and very cool. So I actually really enjoy parts of that story in terms of viewing it from an action sequence. It was pretty cool. I thought that there was a lot of good stuff there in terms of observing how this menacing black slime got rid of these teens. So it's a nominee for best fight scene or action sequence. Number 7, finally, one of my favorite categories, best romance. Our first nominee is, of course, young Suzanne Delgado and Roland Deschain. Oh, folks, I was really into it. You can definitely hear it in my voice in the part 1 Wizard and Glass coverage. I am just a swoony teenager over that one. I think I'm supposed to be. I think that's what King would have wanted, so I fully embraced it. It was wonderful. Number 2, Billy and Alice. This one still has me burning and pining. This was tremendous. This was really great because it's forbidden. It is absolutely not something either of them should do, but you definitely want them to do it. So I loved it. I really did. Number 3, we have Dennis Gilder and Lee Cabot from Christine. So this is a kind of unlikely pairing, sorta kinda. Dennis, of course, was in love with Lee at the very start when he first sets eyes on her, but Lee Cabot was dating Arnie. She was really sort of enjoying their time together, but Christine freaked her out, and then soon Arnie started to freak her out, so she managed to fall into the arms of Dennis, and they did make a good couple. I thought they had some sweet moments together, especially when both of them were really concerned for Arnie and staying alive, when both of them realized there's a really evil freaking car that wants to kill us both. Number 4, we have Mrs. Todd, Mrs. Ophelia Todd, and Homer inside the short story from Skeleton Crew, Mrs. Todd Shortcut. So this one is another tricky one, guys, because they don't necessarily have a romance, but there is a definite bond between the two of them. This is also further solidified at the very end of the short story. When you get to those final moments, you're like, okay, there's really something here, guys. So Homer and Mrs. Todd, please take a gander at this one, guys. This is a mysteriously cool and rather sweet at the end short story that definitely brings the vibe of romance. My last, this is another iffy one, but it could work, it really could. So this is kind of a metaphorical romance, but I wanted to talk about Mrs. Flanders from The Reach and her love for Goat Island. This lady lived her entire life on the island. She never once went to the mainland. Never, ever, ever. She just had this immense love and connectedness to the town, everything it stood for, to all of her neighbors, her community, and there was an immense love for her as well, that at the end of this story, it is very touching. It is incredibly memorable. So while it is not a conventional romance, there is a lot of love there, and maybe there is a love affair for Ursula and this town. It's an iffy one. You could strike it from the record if you want, I understand. But I did want to throw it out there. I really loved that. Heading into our 8th category is, of course, our best Stephen King television for this year. We only have 3 nominees because I went on what was currently released this year. Do forgive me if I missed anything. I wasn't super duper plugged into Stephen King film releases this year, but the 3 that I do have here are Firestarter, Chapelwaite, and Mr. Harrigan's Phone. All 3 of these were released in 2022. I only watched 2 of them, but I still wanted to mention them, so those are our 3 nominees for Best Stephen King TV. Number 9, let's head into Best Stephen King Short Story for 2022. I have 6 nominees. Number 1 is, of course, The Reach from Skeleton Crew. This is the very last story of the bunch. It just moved me so much, guys. Mrs. Flanders and her final trek across the Reach. Number 2, Mrs. Todd's Shortcut, super obsessed, can't stop talking about it, my number 2 nominee. Number 3, so this one's gonna be fun. Either before or after you listen to this episode, please head over to Tower Junkies because I had a super amazing conversation with Matt Hurt on 2 stories from Night Shift. I'd never read them before. I haven't even touched Night Shift, so it was super duper fun. Matt made me read The Boogeyman and Sometimes They Come Back. I liked them both a lot, but I was really quite impressed with Sometimes They Come Back, and that's why it's our 3rd nominee. So we actually have a total wild rogue wave here from Night Shift. Sometimes They Come Back is in our 3rd nomination spot, so super good. Number 4, we have Uncle Otto's Truck. That one is so cool. I love the historical time period which this one takes place. I love everything about it. It's just so, it's so full of greed and has a really memorable ending. Very cool. Number 5, this is another one I chatted with Tiny and Matt over on Tower Junkies, Survivor Type. This one, I did not really care for it at first, and then upon a 2nd and 3rd reading, I love the hell out of it. I kept thinking about it. I love that narrator. He is just such a narcissist, which is kind of repelling in a narrative for sure, but unforgettable. I really like Survivor Type, guys. Super good stuff. And lastly, we have another story I chatted with Matt and Tiny about, The Jaunt. I did have a lot of problems with it concerning how it's aging. We do have a lot of high-tech stuff that has desensitized/spoiled our perception of things. So at the time of this was written, there is a lot of genius, contemporary, interesting concepts King is working with, a lot of futurism that actually works. But there's a couple moments that prevent me from fully loving this. However, it is one that I really liked analyzing. I really like spending some time with this one. So that's why it is an honorable mention if I forgot to mention that previously, The Jaunt. And number 10, our final category for our 2022 Best of Awards, Best Stephen King Novel. We have 6 nominees. Number 1, Billy Summers. Number 2, Wizard and Glass. Number 3, From a Buick 8. Number 4, Christine. Number 5, Blaze. And number 6, Elevation. I know Elevation's a little one. Technically it's a novella, but we're throwing it in there. All right, loves, those are our 10 categories. Once more, we have Best Hero, Best Leading Lady, Best/Worst Villain, Best Sidekick, the character/story who left me wanting more, Best Fight Scene or Action Sequence, Best Romance, Best Stephen King TV, Best Stephen King Short Story, and Best Stephen King Novel. Those are the 10. Stick with me and I'll announce the winners in the next section. Alright, King fans, let's hand out some awards for the Best of Underrated King 2022. Starting with Best Hero. Once more, the nominees are Billy Summers, Cuthbert and Elen from Wizard and Glass, David Drayton from The Mist, Curtis Wilcox from a Buick 8, Dennis Gilder from Christine, and we have 2 honorable mentions, Roland Deschain from The Dark Tower, and Clayton Blaisdell from Blaze. The winner for Best Hero is Billy Summers. 100%, everyone. I love Billy. I have a major crush on him. Roland won last year. He was close to winning again, but I was a little mad at Roland this year due to everything that transpired in Wizard and Glass. I know I'm going to move past it. I'm going to be okay, and I'll get back to loving him soon. But this guy named Billy swooped in there, everyone, and really romanced me heart and soul. So Billy is definitely our winner for Best Hero, best in a lot of things. Please, please, please take a gander at Billy Summers sooner rather than later. Make sure to check out my episode on Billy Summers and then jump over to King Size, where I had the most amazing chat with Matt and Simon. It was absolutely epic. I think he's releasing it on New Year's Eve because he's just a gem, but please, please, please check that out. It's just a complete Billy Summers love fest, and we need more of them. On to number 2, Best Leading Lady. Once more, our nominees are Susan Delgado from Wizard and Glass, Lee Cabot from Christine, Alice Maxwell from Billy Summers, Ophelia Todd in Mrs. Todd's Shortcut, and Stella Flanders from The Reach. This was a tricky one, friends. I have a lot of feelings for many of these ladies, but the one who absolutely deserves this award is Miss Susan Delgado from Wizard and Glass. Oh, my stars. She is just loveliness and light and hope and possibility, and I was really, really glad to spend some time with her on the page in Wizard and Glass. She's just a blazing star of loveliness. I love her so very much. Susan Delgado from Wizard and Glass, the winner of Best Leading Lady. Number 3, Best/Worst Villain. We have Roland D. LeBay and Christine together, as they should be, for Best Villain. Number 2, Rhea of the Coos, the unkillable vampire witchy woo from Wizard and Glass. Number 3, The Coffin Hunters, Eldred Jonas, Roy DePape, and Clay Reynolds. This gang of cutthroats really, really bring the action from Wizard and Glass. Number 4, Nick Majarian from Billy Summers. Number 5, Randall Flagg from multiple stories, but for this award, Wizard and Glass. And our honorable mention, the 1954 blue Buick Roadmaster from a Buick 8. This was another tricky one, friends. So difficult. I was this close to giving it a double award, but at the last second I was like, no, this particular character, I'm still thinking about them. I am still they're still in my mind. That's the sign of a winner. That is Miss Rhea of the Coos, this old, slimy, slithery, manipulative, powerful, we should not underestimate her, monster of Magus, Rhea of the Coos. I'm really excited what her next move will be. She is a very powerful female character that I'd like to explore more in the future when I talk to additional folks about one of my favorite Stephen King categories, and that's the women of Stephen King. So Rhea made it. Christine was so close. She was right there. She was so close to stealing it, but in the end, I gave it to Rhea. On to number 4, Best Sidekick. Our nominees are George Rackley from Blaze, Bucky Hansen from Billy Summers, Cuthbert and Ellen from Wizard and Glass, Shimi Ruiz from Wizard and Glass, Troop D from a Buick 8. The winner for Best Sidekick is absolutely, without a doubt, Shimi Ruiz from Wizard and Glass. This guy is a precious angel. He's just so sweet and means well. He's helpful. He's actually put in several dangerous scrapes trying to help Susan and Cuthbert, Ellen, and Roland. He is just a little precious lamb, and I am so grateful we get to spend time with him on the page. He's a sweetheart. As we know, Wizard and Glass is definitely the turning point in the Dark Tower novels where things start to head in the direction I feared they were going, such as the loss of characters we love. Not necessarily, it's not 100% black and white, but I'm sensing the foreshadowing. I'm picking up what King is putting down, but Shimi was just an absolute delight, so he wins my award for Best Sidekick. Number 5, the character and story who left me wanting more. Number 1, Scott Carey from Elevation. Number 2, Finn from the short story Finn, released in 2022. Number 3, Arnie Cunningham from Christine. And number 4, the entire novel of From a Buick 8. And the winner for the character / story who left me wanting more is Scott Carey from Elevation. Yeah, I really like this story, guys. It's full of whimsy. It's very Willy Wonka. It's charming, it's sweet, and its brevity is a real source of curiosity. It works. It's definitely something that is just over and done sooner than you'd like. But Scott Carey, I wanted just a little bit more. I mean, all of these I wanted more of, but Scott Carey really was craving just a tiny bit more time with him. I think it works as it is. I do. I understand the reason for such brevity. It does make some sense. But I think King was... I just was craving, super duper hungry for some of that King character development that we love so much. Just a little bit more from Scott's childhood, a little bit more reflection on youth and growing older. That would have been perfect. Scott Carey from Elevation. Number 6, Best Fight Scene or Action Sequence. The nominees are The Coffin Hunter Shootout, the multiple shootouts we have from the Coffin Hunters. But the one I was thinking about in particular concerns the Wizard's Glass, Merlin's grapefruit in particular, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Number 2, Dennis, Lee, and Christine, the showdown at Darnell's garage. Number 3, Billy Summers, the shootout at Nick Majarian's hideout. Number 4, Blaze, the shootout in the snowy Maine woods. And number 5, The Raft. The entire story, really. The way that River Goo picked off those 4 teens, pretty epic. The winner for Best Fight Scene goes to Christine Showdown at Darnell's Garage. Oh my goodness, guys. Oh my goodness. There is a literal dead body flying through the window. It is menacing, it is bombastic, over the top. Dennis's leg is all mangled. They have to, it was cool. It was very cool. It was very 80s. I was very into it. The showdown at Darnell's Garage is our winner for Best Fight Scene. Number 6, Best Romance. We have Susan and Roland from Wizard and Glass, Billy and Alice from Billy Summers, Dennis and Lee from Christine, Mrs. Todd and Homer from Mrs. Todd's Shortcut, and though it's a stretch, Flanders and Goat Island from The Reach. The winner for Best Romance is, of course, without a doubt, young Roland Deschain and Susan Delgado. Oh, friends, it's so Romeo and Juliet. It's just precious. It's young love. It's forbidden love. It's all those things that are so intoxicating. King handles it quite well. It's just, he gives them a lot of private moments. He gives them a lot of time to be carnal together, which is important when you're teenagers. It's just romantic. It's so sweet. I loved it. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about a lot of things from Wizard and Glass. But yes, Roland and Susan win for Best Romance, hands down. Number 8, Best Stephen King TV. The 3 2022 releases I have are Firestarter, Chapelwaite, and Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Granted, I did not watch Chapelwaite. I hopefully will in the future. I did watch Firestarter and Mr. Harrigan's Phone, and the landslide winner, Mr. Harrigan's Phone on Netflix. Oh my gosh, everyone. First of all, that novella within 2020's If It Bleeds was my absolute favorite. I love it so much. If you are a Charles Dickens fan, you need to read this one. This has so much Dickens peppered throughout, but it is such a beautiful story on growing up, those hard things we face in life, and maybe what happened when we reach out to the dead, and if they answer back. So good. I'm just obsessed, and the film was so beautifully done. It is so close to the story. It is just dramatic and powerful and visual. I'm a drooling fan, everyone. Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Number 9, Best Stephen King Short Story. The nominees are The Reach, Mrs. Todd's Shortcut, Sometimes They Come Back, Uncle Otto's Truck, Survivor Type, and The Jaunt. This was very, very tricky. Very difficult, everyone, because I've actually listed a different short story as my number 1 this year. But when it comes to picking a personal favorite, one that I just can't stop thinking about based on its narration, its overall story, the character development, some really powerful, memorable scenes, I had to give it to The Reach. Again, very conflicted because I think Mrs. Todd's Shortcut is actually my favorite, as I've announced in one of my compilations this year of my top 15 Stephen King short stories thus far. Still many more to go and discover, but I keep thinking about The Reach, guys. It's so good. I don't know if it's just a certain time of year or people in my life, but I was just thinking about Stella Flanders and her personality and that main identity. I don't know. I just love it so much. It's so powerful. I equally adore Mrs. Todd's Shortcut. Sometimes They Come Back was a total trip, really enjoyable. And everyone on this list is just a winner, but The Reach is my winner for the best Stephen King short story for 2022. Check it out if you haven't, Inside 1985's Skeleton Crew. My last award for 2022 is number 10, the best Stephen King novel. We have Billy Summers, Wizard and Glass, From a Buick 8, Christine, Blaze, and Elevation. Okay, listeners, my dear friends, I had an impossible time picking one. Absolutely impossible. We have 2 winners. We have 2 gold medals given today. I can't help it. I tried. I made a pros and cons list for both of these titles, and I could not choose. I just could not. I tried. We have 2 winners, and they are 1997's Wizard and Glass, of course, and 2021's Billy Summers. Yes. I loved the hell out of both of these. Billy Summers really got an emotional reaction out of me, guys. Like, I did an ugly cry on my couch after I finished that one. That has not happened in a long time. Not concerning a novel, not concerning a King novel. So that was definitely something that got me thinking. I love talking about Billy Summers. Incredibly powerful, wonderful novel. And then my doors got blown open by Wizard and Glass. Holy hell, guys. Here I was, just a little tourist through the Dark Tower, making my way through it for the very first time. 2021, I made my way through the Gunslinger, Drawing of the Three, and the Wastelands. And this year, Wizard and Glass, I was not prepared for the absolute leveling up we get with this beautifully told, rich, lore-soaked, romantic, tragic, graphic, multi-layered saga where we're given Romeo and Juliet and Wizard of Oz, and oh my god, speechless, everyone. I'm speechless. I was so wrecked by this book, guys. It took me 3 parts. I never, ever, ever have done a 3-part coverage for a novel. This thing was such a game changer. I was so emotionally compromised. I was so, oh my gosh, I'm still wrecked by this book. It was incredible, and I think at present it may be my very favorite in the Dark Tower series thus far. We'll see. I know we still have a few more to go. Billy and Wizard, they just you could not pay me to choose between one or the other. They get the award, both of them, for the best. They were just both the best. They really did a number on my heart and mind. I'm still thinking about both of them. Incredible King works that, I'm still recovering from these 2 stories. That will wrap up our list, everyone. So let's do a final recap. Our winner for Best Hero is someone I have a huge literary crush on, Billy Summers. Our Best Leading Lady is Susan Delgado from Wizard and Glass. Our Best/Worst Villain is Rhea of the Coos from Wizard and Glass. Our Best Sidekick is Shimi Ruiz from Wizard and Glass. The character or story who left me wanting more, Scott Carey from Elevation. Number 6, our Best Fight Scene/Action Sequence, Dennis, Lee, and Christine at Darnell's Garage. Number 7, Best Romance, hands down, Susan Delgado and Roland Deschain from Wizard and Glass. Number 8, Best Stephen King TV, Landslide, Netflix's 2022 release of Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Number 9, Best Stephen King Short Story, The Reach from Skeleton Crew. And number 10, the Best Stephen King novel of 2022. There are 2 of them, Billy Summers and Wizard and Glass. Okay, my loves, that will send us to the end. I hope you had a good time. Those were our 10 awards for the Best of Underrated King 2022. It's been an amazing year. Thank you to all my constant reader interviews who are so incredibly kind and generous with their time. Please jump back to some of those interviews if you missed a few. They are so much fun. These guests are amazing. They are all tremendous King fans and constant readers, and they have taught me so much. And thank you to all of you out there who have made this show a part of your year, a part of your month, a part of your day. I know that we've slowed down just a little bit. We hope for a little bit more momentum next year, but life is happening. We are, in quotes, post-pandemic, unknown. So in between grading these fiction drafts, I am reading King. I am still in love with this little show. I'm having fun. I'm so excited for the King titles to come in 2023. So please expect those, as well as hopefully more Stephen King constant reader interviews. So once more, I plan on tackling Wind Through the Keyhole, Eyes of the Dragon, Fairy Tale, Dreamcatcher, Cujo, Thinner, Needful Things, Dolores Claiborne, Gerald's Game, Wolves of the Calla, Desperation, and The Regulators. Perhaps we might have Song of Susanna in there. Unknown. We'll see how the year goes. I believe we're also getting a Holly Gibney novel out this year, so I will certainly be paying attention to King TV as well. But thank you all, everyone around the world, for listening to this show. If you would be so kind to share this show with a constant reader in your life or a new King fan who might want to read a King title for the very first time. If you haven't already, I would love if you would rate and review the show wherever you are getting your podcasts. We are currently available on Audible, so if you are an Audible subscriber, that might be a great way to share the show with a friend. It would mean the world to have you guys also say hi. please write into UnderratedSK@gmail. Let me know what you think about the show. Let me know what you thought about 2022's episodes. Any of the King novels I have explored on the show are always open. Let me know what you thought. We can always chat about these King plots, recommendations you have. I am so eager to hear from you all. From the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much. I'm now going to pop open a bottle of champagne, and there's some truffles that I'm going to nibble on right next to it. 'Tis the season. I hope you all have a beautiful and safe new year. I will see you all in January 2023, where I'm going to begin the year with 4 Past Midnight. We have 4 novellas inside that collection I have never read. I'm super duper excited. So what we're gonna do is give each novella its own episode. I'm pretty dead set on 4 Past Midnight kicking off 2023. So get excited, get your copies, start listening to the audiobook, and I'll be ready in the wee weeks of 2023. Once more, I love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your holiday season and Happy New Year. Take care and bye-bye.